Well, it's again another privilege to be able to gather in the house of the Lord. Whenever you are able to come before the Lord, it's a rare privilege. You must never take it for granted. Some people would like to, but they're not able. So whenever you can come to the house of God, give thanks. David said, I'd better stay one day in the house of the Lord than 1,000 days elsewhere. That's where life is. I want us this morning to go to the Word of God, and I want to talk about something that I have called the forgotten children. I'm talking about children who have been forgotten. That will be the heading. And I want us to go straight to the book of Psalms, the 144th chapter, or the 144th Psalm. Let's read verse 11 and also verse 12, which is also a psalm of King David. He prays and says, "Rid me and deliver me from the hand of strange children, whose mouth speaketh vanity, and their right hand is a right hand of falsehood. That our sons may be as plants grown up in their youth, that our daughters may be as cornerstones, polished after the similitude of a palace." Now, I want to talk about many things to tell you how we come to this conclusion of these forgotten children. But David, in his prayer, in that psalm, he gives God glory. He acknowledges God as the God of war. He acknowledges him as the one who has taught him how to make war. He acknowledges him as the God who has always given him victory over his enemies. And as David goes on to acknowledge what God has done and what he has been in his life, he comes to a point and then he asks God that God may rid him, that he may remove out of his life, that he may deliver him from the hand of strange children, whose right hand is a right hand of falsehood. Let me explain first of all that what means. One, according to David, strange children are children who are strange. They are aliens. Not aliens in the sense of today's understanding of aliens, because today when you talk about aliens, people all go to UFOs and begin to talk about unidentified or unknown aerial phenomena. I am not talking about UAPs. I'm talking about strangeness in the sense that somebody adopts something else, a character, a demeanor that was not intended. This was not intended in them. Along the line, as they grew up, as they mixed up with other people, they suddenly developed something else, which caused them to be called strange children. They did not go by the values that they had learned from their parents. They did not stick to the virtues that they had been taught in their families that they came from. They threw every virtue to the wind and instead started taking pleasure and rejoicing in vice. They forgot any goodness, any discretion, any care. They even forgot about their future. And they just lived for certain things, certain values, which were never. They were not taught by their parents. They were not taught by their tutors. They were not taught in schools. They were not taught in colleges. But they just gathered them from some place. And that made them become strange children. And today, I must say, we are seeing the brunt of the results of strange children. I want to share my grief with all the parents of Utumishi Academy who lost their children in that fire. Yeah, it is indeed a very painful thing to go through. We can only pray that God may give them the strength to bear and forget and get healed so that they may continue in life. One thing I know, there are things in life that can only be healed. Wounds, scars, that can only be healed by two things. One, God, and two, time. God gives you the power to forget the grief, and time also helps you drown the bad memories. So we continue to pray with those families, and may God grant them quick healing. But I must say this country of ours called Kenya has a problem. We cannot continue to bury our heads in the sand and pretend that everything is okay. Everything is not okay. This country is going through a difficult moment, especially in our schools and colleges, because of what David is saying there. Strange children. Children whose values and virtues changed along the way. And they are not even remotely a shadow of what their parents expected them to be. It's like along the way, their DNA was changed. It's become too often. And I must say this. I respect those people who always analyze these things and come up with conclusions. Everybody must stick to his profession, because everybody is trained in his profession. We respect all those who study human behavior. We respect them because it is something they've been trained in. But also, we must know this. Life as we know it and as we live it has got two sides. There is the natural side and there's the spiritual side. I am not saying that the conclusion that comes up from the natural side is wrong. No. It cannot be wrong. It can be right. But usually, the answer they find is not the cause. It's not the cause. If we begin to look back at the family, at the history of this nation, we will discover that dormitory fires are common. We can count school after school after school after school. And all of them have always come up with students being found culpable, causing fires that burn down our schools and take the lives of other children. I don't have to mention them. We know it. From Bombolulu girls to Kianguli boys to Endarasha and many others. Now, Utumishi Academy. And the list seems to be growing. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. And it is like the people concerned have got no solution. I am here to tell you, there is a solution in God. The only problem is when we believe, and wrongly so, that the politics of this country can bring a solution to such things. No politics, no politician has an answer to what is happening in this country. Let them do their thing. Let them do their politics. When it comes to voting time, we will think about voting for who. But don't be deceived. If politics had the answer, schools would not continue to be burnt today. Isn't it? The answer and the solution is not even administrative. Our schools have got some of the best administrators we know of. Good measures. Some of the best measures to contain everything. But still, the students sneak in and they ban dormitories. I want to say this clearly. Let it be understood. Anybody, any child who can burn down a dormitory, knowing very well that his colleagues or her colleagues are in that dormitory, and knowing very well that they will die in that fire and still do it, can only be a child of the devil. There is no question about it. We must look at some things, face facts, and come down to the drawing board and ask ourselves, exactly what are we fighting? Don't tell us that it is stress because of examinations. Didn't we do examinations? We did examinations. Some of us have stayed in boarding schools for very many years. You develop a certain spirit of brotherhood such that all your dormitory mates actually become your brothers. If it's a girls' school, they become your sisters. because you stay in the same dormitory for all those years. You can't think of harming them. They become your brothers. You wake up in the morning, they are there. Everything, you are there. You share everything. You share soap sometimes, isn't it? If you manage to go out and come back with some snacks, you share snacks, because the dormitory mates are like your brothers, like your sisters. How on earth a girl whose nature is a woman even think of burning somebody else to death? Look at this. Women were created by God to nurture and preserve life. So even where people are heartless, you expect a woman to have the compassion of a mother. Even if she's not married, you expect a girl to start showing the compassion of a mother, because that is their innate nature. Nurturing life, preserving life. What happens until suddenly this virtue, this God-given compassion for life, suddenly turns out to be an instinct for murder? And not murdering a stranger, somebody you share a lot of things. I am telling you, our schools, our colleges have been taken over by strange children. Now we have a problem. Even some of us who have our children in boarding schools, we have sleepless nights because we don't even know what is going to happen, because our children are in those boarding schools. We worry. The reason is this country called Kenya, slowly it has been taken over by strange children. And unless we do something, we don't see anything getting better, because from what I can see, it's getting worse and worse and worse. Are we going to live like this forever? Not that there is no solution, but you see, a nation, a country like Kenya, has got a lot of resourceful people. Some people are thinkers. They think through. They come up with solutions. They brainstorm. But if we surrender everything to a few people who wrongly believe that they have the monopoly of wisdom and knowledge, even to the point of infringing on spiritual wisdom, which they lack, and then we surrender over the nation to them and just hope that the God of heaven is going to intervene, then we are deluding ourselves. We are deceiving ourselves. There is a spiritual side to everything that happens. There is a spiritual side to this nation that must be addressed. That those who understand spiritual mysteries and secrets of God will be able to chart the course. But the problem is anybody listening? Is anybody going to listen? You see, Isaiah was so worried that when he starts talking about the suffering Messiah, he knew it was going to be so incredible that he starts the chapter of Isaiah, chapter 53. He starts by asking a question: Lord, who has believed our report? And to whom has the hand of the Lord been revealed? He knew it was going to be an incredible report about somebody who dies. How many people remember that report and that report? We got some extracts of that report. Devil worship school. And it was terrible. The question is, because when you are dealing with demonic powers, satanic powers, you are not dealing with administrative problems. You are not dealing with political problems. You are not dealing with anything. You are dealing purely with spiritual powers beyond our natural control. Did we ever ask who can give us the way forward so that the spiritual leaders of this nation who know the spiritual mysteries, as Paul writes to the Corinthians, would have stepped out and said, we know what our God can do where our politicians and administrators have no power. What did Paul tell the Corinthians? We are the stewards of the mysteries of God. Stewards of mysteries. Custodians of spiritual secrets, which cannot be understood with the natural mind. He says, let a man so account of us as of the ministers of Christ and stewards of the mysteries of God. A steward is somebody who has been put in charge to take care. So there are things that are called mysteries. They are spiritual. They are beyond our human capability to understand until God reveals them by his Spirit. If we truly love this nation, is anybody listening to me? If we truly love this nation, the so-called prayer breakfast that is done once per year, like the one we had this week, it should go on, but there should be nothing on those tables. No political speeches, no nothing political. All the politicians should meet there and fast and pray for this country the whole day, without swallowing sausages and drinking juice and beginning to speak politics and say it is a national prayer day. Praying for what? Praying for who? When the king of Nineveh was told about the impending doom of Nineveh, the king ordered a fast for the whole of Nineveh. He even commanded, even animals, don't feed them. We are repenting. And God saved Nineveh because even the king came from his throne, lay on the floor, cried and wept before the Lord. He did not stand and make political speeches while swallowing some sausages and juice. Sometimes we insult our God by doing some things that we purport to do in his name.